Hello everyone, my name is Priyanka Goswami, working as an assistant professor in GL Bajaj Institute of Management Research, Greater Noida. Today I am going to discuss with you the topic is training from the subject management concepts and organizational behavior. Let's start with the training. Training meaning. What is training? Training is concerned with the teaching or learning carried on for the basic purpose of enabling the employees to acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, abilities, attitude needed by that organization. Training is basically a kind of teaching which is basically done to enhance the skills, abilities of the employee so that employee can perform his job in a best and effective way. For that purpose, training is required in the organization. It is an organized procedure by which people learn knowledge and skills for a definite purpose. Yes, training is goal oriented, it requires definite purpose through which or due to which this training required in every organization. Like training is something which is required or which is useful to enhance the skills and abilities of the employees for the definite purpose or for the particular job. A systematic approach to training is assessment, implementation, and evaluation. Yes, training we call it as a systematic process because it involves three series or three steps, that is assessment, implementation, and evaluation. That means, first of all, we assess the need that where we require training, I mean, where the person or the employee is lacking. Then we see the, after analyzing the need, the lacking area, then we analyze, okay, then we decide which kind of training is suitable for that particular employee and related to the lacking area. And after implementation, then we implement or we decide which technique is better to implement so that he can learn or enhance his skills in order to do particular activity or job. Once we implement the training, then we evaluate the particular training program, that how much the person have learned through that particular training. So obviously this is the evaluation of the training, but it is done after results. That means after the particular training, how the person is performing or the how the employee is performing, by which we evaluate the whole training program, that how much he got satisfied with the training program, and it basically evaluate even after the results, or we can say that how much he have learned after getting that particular training. So training involves these particular steps. Number one is assessment. It is required to analyze the lacking areas. Once we analyze the lacking areas, then we decide that what kind of training is required, and after deciding the training program, we implement it, and after implementation we evaluate the whole training process, that how much the training gets successful. That means how much training, whatever purpose we had to provide the training, is it achieved or not. For that purpose we need to evaluate the whole training program so that we can make correction in it, and we can revise our training program and make a more better or effective training for the employees. Training is expensive, but without training it is more expensive. Yes, that is rightly said, that training is very important in the organization. If we don't provide training to our employees, obviously the wastage will incur more, and somehow the quality of the product or the quality of the whole operation will get decreased. So for that, obviously this training is required. That's why we say yes, it is acceptable, or it is very much clear that yes, training is expensive, but without training it is more expensive, because it leads to wastage, it leads to what say decrement, or we can say the reduction of quality of product. So obviously for that, training is required or is must. Training bridges gap between what employee has and what his or her job demands. Yes, we can say that training fills the gap between what employee has, that means in terms of skills and abilities, that presently what person has, or what employee has in terms of skills and abilities, and what his or her jobs demand. Yes, so training is a process, or it is a activity, or it is a kind of learning which bridges the gap or fills the gap between what the person has right now or currently, and what he will become after getting that particular training, or it is basically decided by the job requirement, that what actually job demands. On the basis of that, he gets trained, he takes training, and he somehow he fills the gap between these two particular situations. Role of training, that means why role training is important in the organization, what is the role, what is the purpose of training in the organization. Number one is increase efficiency. Yes, if we provide training to our employees, so somehow the employees efficiency will get increased. They can able to perform their work in a cheap and best way. So obviously we can say the whatever productivity we will get from the employees, that will be more efficient and appropriate. Increase in morale of employees. Yes, training is also important in order to enhance or increase the morale of the employees or boost up the confidence in employees. Why? Because somehow if they are able to learn, or if they are know very much about their job, so obviously their confidence will get high, and due to which their morale will get increased. So in for that, again, training is must in the organization. Next one is better human relations. Yes, if training is provided in the organization by the for the employees or to the employees from the organization, so obviously the human relation would be better. Why? Because employees are there to do a work, and if they are excellent in their work, so obviously there will not be any kind of conflicts in the organization. They will not feel dissatisfied from their job. So somehow the human relations, or we can say the relations between employer and employee, will be good if they get the training and if they perform excellent in the organization. Next one is reduce supervision. Yes, if employees know what kind of work they have to do and what is the technique or the method of doing that particular work, obviously the supervision from the employer side will be needed less. So in this case we can say that supervision will get reduced if people will get the training will get training time to time. Next one is increased organization viability and flexibility. Yes, if all the employees will get training, so the overall or somehow organization viability, or we can say growth, will get increased. And the next one is flexibility. That means whole organization will get flexible. That means they are able to adapt the changes or the situation whenever they need. So in this way we can say that training is very important in the organization to increase the flexibility of each and every one, or of each and every individual who exists in the organization. And apart from that, even for the sake of growth of the organization, this training is important. Next one is helps employees adjust to change. Yes, if employees get training in the organization time to time, so obviously they are able to adapt changes in the organization whenever it is required. That means they will not get resist from the change, and they will easy to adapt the changes who are occurring in the which are occurring in the organization or in the environment. Next one is better quality of work. Yes, training is also important to enhance the quality of the work of the employees. So for that, training is must, because if they don't get training, they will know how to do their work effectively and efficiently, and somehow the whole quality of the work or the operation will get reduced if they don't get the training. So role is done. Now we are going to move on the next topic, that is identifying training needs. That means training needs identification is important. I mean, yes, training needs identification is important because this is the preliminary step of doing or of deciding that whether our employees need training or not. So for that, identification training need is very important. Identifying training need is a process that involves establishing areas where employees lack skills, knowledge and abilities in effectively performing their jobs. That means it is the process where organization identify that where in terms of skills and abilities people are lacking, so that accordingly they can decide that what kind of training they require, and accordingly they can implement that particular training. So for that, first of all, identification training need is important. There are following condition in which training need may arise. That means, yeah, there might be a situation which arise in the organization, due to which organization feels that yes, they require training or their employees require training. So what are those situations, what are those particular circumstances where organization feels that yes, they require training for their employees? So number one is installation of new equipment and techniques. Whenever organization adapt new technology or new equipment in the organization, obviously to operate those equipment, those technique, we require training, our employees require training. So for that particular situation, again, if they are going to bring new equipment or techniques in the organization, that is the particular situation where they required or they feel training to provide for the for the employees. Next one is changes in the working condition or product or product produced. Yes, we can say that whenever working conditions being changed in the organization, obviously training is required. Or we can say whatever product we are producing in the organization, if it gets changed, if the whole specification of that particular product get changed according to the organization, according to the customer's needs and wants, then again labor required training. Because if suppose if working condition has been changed, if the whole where they are working, if it is changed, new equipments and machines have already entered in the organization, so obviously they required training. And for that purpose, even this is also one of the situation where they feel that yes, they require training. So this is also a situation where training requires or in the organization. Promotion or transfer of employees. Yes, we can say that even if there is a promotion of any employee to perform a higher level of job and responsibility, obviously employee requires training. Yes, so we can say in case of promotion and even in case of transfer, you know very well that what is transfer is what it is, the horizontal movement of one employee from one place to another place. That's a transfer, right? So obviously when he moves to the another location or another working condition, he requires training. Because we cannot say that every time he will get a chance to do a same work. Sometimes his work will get changed, so accordingly he requires training. So even in case of promotion or even in case of transfer, employees require training. So this is also a situation, or this is also a particular circumstances where every employees requires training. Employees require trainings. Next is improve quality. Yes, if organization feels that yes, their level of quality is not up to the mark, at that moment also organization can organize that training program in order to improve the quality of whole operations. So obviously that is also one of the moment where organization can feel the requirement of training. Next one is increase efficiency. If our organization feels that efficiency of the employees of the organization is not again up to the mark, is not satisfactorily, even at that moment also they can plan a one training program for the whole employees, so that they, in order to increase their efficiency. Next one is reduce constant supervision. If they feel that yes, that this day-to-day basis supervision is too much for the organization or for the managers, and they should also get relief from those supervision, and for that particular even for that motive also, this training program is required to perform in the organization for the employee, so that manager can be free from those supervision and can dedicate his time to some other projects. So in this case we can say that yes, in order to reduce the constant supervision, training is must, or it is must to perform in the organization, or to organize in the organization. Next one is higher morale. Even in order to increase the morale of the people or employees, or in order to increase the confidence level of the employees, this training is required. Because when they feel that yes, they know their work very well, they are excellent in their work, then only they can feel motivated in the organization. So obviously if they feel that their employees are not satisfied with their job, because they are not able to identify that or they are not able to perform their work satisfactorily, obviously their satisfaction level will get decreased. So in order to increase the morale of the employees, again this training is important. Last one is preparation for future manager. Even if they feel, if organization feels that yes, there are some people for whom we have to do this succession planning, where we can where in which we can see our future manager. So obviously by giving some particular kind of training, we can train them for the future higher level responsibility or higher level positions. Even in that case also, this training is important, or it training is important to provide. So yes, we can say this is also a situation when organization feels that yes, there are some people who can be a good manager, or who can be our budding manager. So obviously in that case also, organization use training and provide training to those particular employees in order to make a future manager. Let's start with the types of training. There are 5 types of training. Number one is orientation training. Orientation training is a training which usually provide in the organization for the new employees to make them familiar with the organization's policy, organization culture, organization rules and regulation. So in order to make them familiar, this orientation training provide in the organization. Next training is job training. Job training is a training which usually provide to enhance the skills and abilities of the employees, so that they can perform their job, they can improve their jobs in an effective way. So for that, just this job training provides in the organization. The third type of training is a safety training. Safety training is a training which usually provide in the organization specifically for the laborers who work with the machineries. So whenever I mean, in this kind of training, they basically tell, or trainers basically tell, related to the machines, that how to operate this particular machine, so that they can reduce the damages, they can reduce the accidents which happens due to the machines, or due to the machines. So for that reason, this safety training provides in the organization, or this is also one of the kind of training, one of the type of training. Next training is promotional training. Promotional training is basically give to the employees in case of promotion. When organization is planning to promote someone in the organization from one job to the higher level jobs, so in order to make them learn the higher level responsibilities, higher level duties, so this kind of promotional training provide to those particular employees. So promotional training is usually provided in the organization in case of promotion, just to make them learn higher level responsibilities. Refresher training. Refresher training, it involves training to the existing employees to acquaint them with the new skills, methods and processes required to improve their performance. Yes, refresher training is a training which normally, or which usually provide in the organization to update the skills, knowledge of the existing employees in order to improve their performance. So refresher training is refresher training motive is to update the skills and knowledge according to the current scenario, or according to the current situation or requirements. So refreshment skills is also provide to make them, or to develop their skills, knowledge, or to update their skills and knowledge accordingly, so that they can decide the things, or to make so that they can make their decisions effectively by seeing current scenario. So for that reason, this refresher training provides in the organization. So these are the types of training which usually give by the organization to their employees. Next is training process. So in training process, these are the steps involved in the procedure of training, which starts from the first step, that is determination of training needs. First of all, before giving training to the particular employees, first of all, HR needs to identify the training needs, that what kind of training the particular person requires. That means if somebody is not able to if somebody is not good, or if somebody is not good, or they are not able to perform particular kind of machinery. So that's what, that is a lacking area, or that is a determination of needs. That means where they identify, okay, this is the particular lacking area where he's lacking, and for that purpose we need to provide the training to this particular employee. So determination of training need is important. If this training, if there is no training need, so there is no requirement of training. So obviously, first of all, we have to identify that where the person is lacking, in which kind of skill he requires to update, he requires to enhance in order to improve his overall performance. So obviously, this determination of training need is important to identify the lacking areas of the employees. Once HR is able to identify the lacking areas of the employees, then he proceed to the next step, that is establish specific objectives. That means on the basis of the lacking areas, they determine certain objectives which they want to fulfill through that particular training. So objectives, what kind of objectives? Suppose if there is a lacking area related to the operation of particular machines, so in the objectives they will set that he is able to operate this particular machine. He should know that what kind of skills, or what kind of operations is done by this particular machines. That means we can say that in the specific objectives they will write the information, or the expectation which they usually see after providing training to that particular employee. So we can say objectives in this particular step, they basically establish the specific objective which they want to achieve after providing training to that particular employee, and that objective can be seen effective or accomplished when the person is able to remove his lacking areas which already were there before providing him the training. Yes, so in this case we can say that on the basis of lacking areas, HR usually make this particular specific objectives which they want to achieve after providing that particular training to particular employee. And after making this specific objectives, they will move to the next step, that is a selection of training and development method. That means where in this particular step they basically try to choose that what kind of method is suitable to make them learn this particular kind of skills. So here they select that whether they should go for on the job training or the off the job training. So in this particular step they basically select the method through which they will imbibe the skills or abilities in the particular employee. Next one is, after selecting that this method is suitable according to the lacking areas or according to the particular employee, then they start implementing that particular program on the basis of organizing that particular training. So implementation is a step where they actually provide training to the particular employee, or once they implement the training program, they evaluate the program, and this is usually done after implementation of the program. And evaluation of program is usually done by taking feedback from the trainees, where organization or the HR people ask from the trainees that how much they like the training and how much they feel that training were effective. So by getting feedback of the training from the trainees, they can able to evaluate that whether there is some correction needed or not. So on the basis of feedback, they evaluate the whole training program, and if they feel that if they feel with the help of feedback, if they feel that yes, that training program is not up to the mark, that what kind of so they make correction accordingly to improve the whole training program. So in this case, in this way, this training process is usually follow in the organization by the HR people. So this is the training program. So today we have covered this topic which is related to the training. Let's start, we can revise it from the beginning as well. So initially, initially we have read this training, that what is training. We have read this meaning of training, that what is training. So everyone knows that training is what? Training is a kind of process which usually, or it is a kind of technique which usually give by the organization to the employees in order to enhance their skills and abilities for the definite purpose, so that they can perform their job in an effective and efficient way. So for the in order to enhance their skills and abilities, training provide in the organization. And after knowing the meaning, then also we have discussed that what is that training all about. Training also, I mean, it is a kind of systematic approach, it is a kind of systematic process which involves three kind of procedure. Number one is three steps follows, what is assessment, implementation and evaluation, due to which they cover up whole training, right? First they assess, they analyze the lacking areas. After analyzing, they implement the training program accordingly, and after that they evaluate the whole training program. So in this way we can say that training is a systematic process. Training is expensive, and without training it is more expensive. Yes, it is very clear that if we provide training in the organization, so obviously people will be more effective, people will be more productive, and we can say that the wastages, the accidents can be reduced through training. So yes, it is very much acceptable that training is expensive, but if we don't provide training in the organization, so it would be more expensive. So for that reason, training is very important in the organization. Role also, we have discussed that yes, training is required to increase the efficiency, to increase the morale of the people, or even for the better human relations, to reduce the supervision, so that manager can have, we can say that manager can have a time to do more productive things instead of doing such just supervision. So for that reason also training is important in the organization. Better quality of work, yes, even to enhance the quality of the work, training is required. So what is that? These are the purpose of training. After that we have discussed that yes, identification of training needs, that why training need is important to identify, because if there is no identification of training needs, so there would not be any kind of training program. So obviously first of all we have to identify that where the people are lacking and in which situation training need can be arise. So these are the situation in which training need can be arise: installation of new equipments, working condition, if there is a working changes in working condition or the product produced, so obviously training is required. Promotion, quality improvement, efficiency increment, or if you want to reduce the constant supervision, if you want to enhance the morale of the people, yes, training is required. These are the types of training we have already discussed in this class, and after that we also discussed this training process. So this is my today's lecture. Thank you.